LaSalle, but first off, you have to know what came before. I came from St. Bartholomew Consolidated School, now John Paul II Catholic School. I knew a few kids coming here, only 8 I think came, so I didn't know too many kids from LaSalle. So my reasons for coming were basically I had a ride with my older brother, so I didn't have to worry about that. And I had hopes of doing well in LaSalle's cross-country program. And I wasn't just a runner, but I was also a good student. So that leads me into scholarship. I believe scholarship is the most important pillar here at LaSalle. I've always done well in school, but before LaSalle, I learned that I needed to try harder. I didn't slack off in school, but I did the best I could. I could do the homework the day it was due on the bus, study for a test on the bus as well, and get an A or B with it. So I thought LaSalle would be the same way, and I was wrong. My freshman and sophomore year, I came close to failing algebra and geometry. Math was never my subject, so I struggled a lot with it. But I had too much pride in myself to ask for help. It wasn't until halfway through my sophomore year that I figured I needed the help. So my brother came up to me and said that I should go ask Mr. Camschmidt for help. So I walked into Mr. Camschmidt's room one day and I asked him if he could tutor me, and he said he would. He would help me with my homework, and he would quiz me on the material to make sure I knew it. And by then, I started to get B's and C's and A's. So being tutored by him helped me understand the material better, and I learned that you shouldn't be ashamed to go to your teacher to ask for help. I've seen throughout my years at LaSalle that the teachers are devoted to their students. They want to see them succeed and help them if they ask for it. Even though it isn't my subject, I've begun to like math, which is really weird, especially calculus. So this is why I have my De La Salle grant from which I received my 8th grade year, and it's just good. It shows that how hard I worked in academic-wise here at LaSalle. But coming here, I learned that my passion wasn't just to further my education, but the need to serve others. So that leads into service. One of the things I thought was interesting at LaSalle was the want to serve. My grade school, they didn't ask us to do any service work, so coming in, it was really weird and I didn't quite understand it. When I was a freshman, my brother and a friend of his brought me along on the camp food drive at LaSalle. I had a great time doing it, and I decided to keep going back for a few more times. I still had the want to do more, so my sophomore year, I joined Key Club. I participated in many of the events that the Key Club sponsors, including Twin Towers Bingo, Presentation Ministries, the Camelot Auction, Santa Maria, and Harvestone Fair. Halfway through my junior year, I went with my dad to Gorman Heritage Farm. While touring the farm, I had an idea that maybe Key Club could start an event here. I could see that the farm needed help, and so I wanted to see if I could do anything to help. I ran it through Mrs. Moroney, the moderator for our Key Club, and I ran it by the executive director at Gorman Farms, and we started the event. Most of the work we do there is maintenance at the farm. We'll help out in the market gardens or up on the farmyard. After a few weeks there, the volunteer director, executive director, came up to me and said they were astonished. Unlike any of the other schools that volunteered there, ours was the most hardworking group there. It was good to see that all the work that we do helps the workers makes a difference at the farm. Gorman was really where my want to serve others began, and so that's why I have my Key Club shirt, because to me it's everything I've done through Key Club, the want to serve. So sorry. I saw that someone needed help, and I decided I would do my best to assist. And I saw that it was a lot of fun to help, and I saw that it was my calling. My love for service work led me to wanting to go on a service immersion trip. This past summer, I was able to go down to Guatemala City, Guatemala for an immersion trip. We helped out around the compound we stayed at, but for the most part, we taught English, like here, with students, adults, etc. Most people thought it would be boring to teach English to a bunch of people, but really, it was quite fun. The Guatemalans were always prepared and they were eager to learn English. So one of the many things that I got out of this trip was not take what you have for granted. There are people out there living in worse conditions and need help. The service work I perform helps me believe that I'm making a difference in someone's life. I was called by God to do this, but not just outside the community, but also within this house. So that leads to faith. Faith is a core pillar within LaSalle. It isn't just demonstrated in our religion classes, but it's really not in our religion classes and not in the masses, but it's more so in the retreats that we do here. And most important was Kairos. My faith life was just me going to church every weekend with my parents. Stand up, sit down, pray, repeat. So after a few years, I stopped going to church altogether. So for a few years, I didn't have a faith life. And it wasn't until Kairos that my faith was strengthened. I was lucky enough to go on Kairos at the end of my junior year. Kairos is Kairos, so what else can I say? It's a time to reflect on your life, discover more about those guys that you've gone to school with for the past 3 years, form a brotherhood with those guys, and then open yourself up to God and His wonders. I can truly say Kairos changed my life. Nathan Sparks and I, so that's Nathan, didn't know each other too well before, but we've heard people mention our names to each other, and he actually even told me. I remember people saying something about verbs, and I always wondered who was that. Funny how Kairos is. Those 3 days, Sparky's now one of my closest friends because of Kairos. And then my Kairos cross is a firm reminder of all the brothers that I made on the retreat. So right when I got back, I filled out an application to be a leader, and I was given the opportunity to lead the next Kairos, which was Kairos 76. I was excited. I wanted to show my fellow seniors the wonders of Kairos. One of my favorite quotes from the Bible is the King James Version, Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. I can do anything through Christ who strengthens me. I believe that I can work wonders with the help from God. I can say that I did change some people's viewpoints and lives when I led. But even Kairos leaders need some help. I had 2 people help me through the hard times of writing my talk and picking a group. They were Matt Streck, my small group leader, and Mike Berniger. I was able to connect with both of them on Kairos 75, and I got to know them real well, and I looked towards both of them for guidance. I like to think that each of them became my big brother during this time. They helped me critique my talk and gave me a lot of advice on leading. So as a leader, I was there for guidance. I was to help the participants get something out of the retreat. One of the wonders of Kairos is how it brings 50-odd students together and form a brotherhood on a deep, deep level. And then when it's done, how they can leave the retreat, come back to school, and keep that community alive throughout the year. So that goes on to community. Community is a big part of LaSalle. Your freshman year, they tell you to get involved as much as you can, and I'm glad I did. I only knew a few kids from wrestling when I started at LaSalle. So years leading up to me going to LaSalle, my brother had been feeding me the negative side of it, but I was determined to get involved and not listen to what he said. And I did. However, I didn't just stay in either the sports of cross country or wrestling, but I got more involved. Besides Key Club, I've been involved with LaSalle Shantytown. I didn't know what it was and what they did there until I got involved in it my junior year. And then my Shanetown shirt from this year is a reminder of all the stuff I've done inside the LaSalle community. So I believe that Shanetown was one of the best ways for me to get involved. It was a great way to make friends. I know I made friends with the freshmen, sophomores, and seniors my first year there. And so when I wanted to do it again, so I jumped at the opportunity when it came up senior year. I began to tell my friends that they should participate in it, and I directly affected one junior. His name is Tony Schneider. The past 2 years in Shanetown, I was in charge of the social justice monopoly game. So those in the small group won up against their fellow group members, except they didn't have to start off with the same amount of money. One person was the wealthiest, while one was the poorest, and then everyone else was the middle class. So it wasn't technically a fair game. Junior year, I directed the game all by myself, and then senior year, Tony Schneider was placed with me. During that night, I showed him how the game worked and how to show it to the other students and explain it. So the last game, I gave him control and let him lead it, and he said that it was a lot of fun and he couldn't wait to do it next year. So I played a very active leadership role throughout the South. So it leads into leadership. To me, a leader doesn't have to be in the front of the masses. He can be in the back, coordinating everything, or in the middle, pushing everything along. I'm not the type of person to get in front of the whole school and get everyone to follow me. I'm more of the one in the middle or in the back. So I'm a very hard worker. I'm the one that's in the trenches, so to speak, with everyone. It's my personality type to work hard on a project and get it done right. If I have to, I can get in front of people, and I've been able to help the other leaders on their projects. These would have to be the making of the foundation t-shirts, Foundation Frenzy, and the advertisements that went throughout LaSalle on the digital signs. My favorite would have to be designing the foundation t-shirts. Going into senior year, one of the leaders said how we needed new t-shirts so everyone could be associated with their foundation. So I volunteered to design them. I spent countless hours figure out the colors, figure out the design on the back of the shirt. So my artifact is Rough Ringo's foundation t-shirt. It's a reminder of all the hard work and effort I've put into singing for Day. Another would have to be the frenzy. It was a new concept that we decided to do to boost morale throughout the school. I helped format the games that the students would play and make advertisements for the games. It was a lot of hard work, but I was glad to do it. I'm the type of person that loves to work on some sort of project and do it right. You could say I was almost the backbone of the program because I was how involved I was. You could usually see me staying after school to help on a project or find a new one to start. So Singing for Day and LaSalle have taught me a lot that I'll carry on for the rest of my life. So one of the things that I've learned here at LaSalle is the definition of a servant. A servant leader is someone who's able to lead the people, but also one that's willing to help. So he'll be able to meet the people's needs, but he'll also be willing to give up the reins to somebody else when the time comes. I'm a dependable and creative person, traits that a servant leader embodies. As I stand here this evening, while I may not know what I'm going to do with my life in the future, I do know that I'll strive to be a servant leader. And I hope that I'll be able to do that at the University of Cincinnati. I will be a man that family and friends can depend on. I'll find ways to use my creativity to improve the lives of those around me. I'll hold true to the values that were instilled to me by my family, LaSalle High School, and God. I will welcome Jesus into my heart and my life, and I'll be the man that answers the call to serve.